Communication. To know this term, we first need to understand the background and the origin of the term. So what are we waiting for? Let's do it.
Communication arrived from a Latin word communicare, which means to share. Our ancestors emerging from caves possessed the basic senses of sight, hearing, touch and smell. Their brains slowly evolved and later generations generally acquired the basic tools needed for communication.
So what is communication, you ask? The definition of communication, as the saying goes, a dime a dozen, depending upon one's perception and point of view. Perspectives of communication.
Number 1. Process perspective. Every action follows process which leads to reaction. When something in common is put to act through a particular process, it can be called a process communication. Number 2. Event perspective. Communication also depends upon event. When an event happens in real life, its contents and messages are perceived by each human being respectively. But the context occurred in the event and the availability is based on people's attitude, mood, culture and personality. Number 3. Indian perspective. Indian society is an example of the positive influence of family and culture on society. It is made of highly complex elements such as numerous languages, at least 5 major religions and races, different cultures and diversity in each regions.
Elements of communication. Yes, the purpose of communication is to establish commonness. To communicate effectively, the sender's words and symbols must mean the same thing to the receiver that may do to the sender. Just like humans talk, birds chirp, and frog croaks, etc., etc., to convey messages to each other. And to do that, there are a few elements we need to know, such as
SMCR. David Berlow created a model of communication known as Sender Message Channel Receiver Model of Communication. He said that communication does not consist of transmission of meaning. Meanings are not transmitted or transferable. Only messages are transmitted and meanings are not in message, they are in message users form. The second element that affects the communication is encoder and decoder. The sender is also encoder, the source or the person conveying the context, and the messages are the encoder, whereas the decoder is also called the receiver. Feedback. It is essential in communication so as to know whether the receiver has understood the messages in same terms as intended by the sender and that he agrees or not. Noise.
Nope, this is not the noise children make.
Noise can occur not only in the primary channel but also in the source and receiver. The noise in the source refers to the confused thinking prior to communication, which leads to unclear messages and misunderstanding between sender and the receiver. Number 5. Barriers to effective communication. There can be numerous amount of barriers that can affect communication. There's the use of complex or unfamiliar words, lack of interest, emotional barriers, cultural differences and many more. Man's need to communication is as strong and as basic as his need to sleep and love. Yes, it is indeed.
So, in a nutshell, communication can be described as an act of transmission of ideas, thoughts, beliefs, knowledge, and opinion, etc. There you go. Now you know what is communication. And if anybody asks you this question after this, just send in this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great day.